They're getting some breaking news in the investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie.
I have had a lot of cases where it's been a construction worker, someone that, as Dave Mack said, had legitimate access to the house, but performed a terrible act on a person living there.
There was an electrician, at least one, maybe more, that was there to replace an electrical panel. That was a big undertaking and required multiple days and work order. That was leading up to the day she was kidnapped.
They didn't collect it in the moment. And let me tell you one other thing, if you like that.
The back door wasn't forced. It wasn't broken. Something was deliberately placed against it to keep it from closing all the way. That one detail, a propped door with no signs of forced entry, has become the centerpiece of where this investigation is now focused. In the weeks before Nancy Guthrie disappeared, a rotating group of contractors moved through her home. An electrician spent multiple days working on a full panel replacement. HVAC technicians came through for system maintenance. Landscapers worked the yard. Pool technicians serviced the property. Delivery drivers came and went. Every single one of them had a reason to be there. Every single one of them had eyes on the interior layout, the door positions, the lock types, the blind spots. And now every single one of them is being looked at. A forensic DNA analyst with 25 years of casework behind her stated plainly that this scenario is not unusual to her. She has worked multiple cases where the person responsible turned out to be a contractor or service worker who had entered the victim's home with full authorization. They knew the layout because they had worked in it. They knew the entry points because they had used them. And in at least some of those cases, the method of re-entry was exactly what investigators are looking at here. Someone who leaves a door propped before they walk out the front doesn't need to break in later. They've already solved that problem before they ever leave. The theory that has taken shape around this detail is specific and coherent. Someone performing a legitimate service call inside the home took a moment before leaving to ensure the back door would not fully latch. No forced entry. No tool marks on the frame. No scratches on the lock cylinder. Which is precisely what investigators have confirmed from the beginning. The absence of forced entry has been a defining feature of this case, and the propped door is the most plausible explanation that has emerged for how that's possible. Savannah Guthrie confirmed publicly that the doors were found propped open. The forensic implications of that confirmation extend in every direction. A former FBI cellular analysis expert confirmed that the service worker investigation doesn't stop at the property line. Anyone who performed work on neighboring homes or anywhere in that immediate area would have had a reason to be in the neighborhood. They would have observed the street layout, the driveway positions, the vegetation density that makes movement between properties possible without being visible from the road. The FBI is going through work orders, dates, times, cross-referencing every individual against the timeline captured on the front door camera, the surveillance footage that recorded the suspect conducting what analysts have described as pre-attack reconnaissance visits in the days before Nancy vanished. DNA collection from each worker is non-invasive and fast. A buccal swab rubbed against the inside of the cheek takes seconds. The profile it produces can be compared directly against the unidentified DNA the FBI has confirmed was recovered from inside Nancy's bedroom. If any profile matches, the identification happens immediately. The science doesn't leave room for ambiguity at that point. What the door itself may still hold is a separate question. Whatever object was used to keep it propped, whether a rock, a wedge, a piece of wood, any common item, is a surface that could carry fingerprints, skin cells, or trace material. The doorknob. The jamb where hands gripped to pull it. The frame where pressure was applied. Each of those surfaces represents a potential source of biological evidence. And a forensics professor who has consulted on more than 10,000 investigations expressed direct frustration about whether those surfaces received the attention they warranted during the initial crime scene processing. His assessment was pointed. If they weren't collected immediately, they may still be there. Untouched. Waiting. The crime scene was released within days of that initial sweep. Photographs taken after the scene was open to media showed a black doormat at the front entrance. Black against black makes blood nearly invisible to the naked eye. Whether that mat was collected or left in place has not been confirmed. Whether an interior rug near the front door was examined for biological deposition is also unconfirmed. Blood saturates into carpet fiber weaves in ways that disappear visually but remain fully detectable under alternative light sources and infrared photography. If such a rug exists and was stepped on by both Nancy and the person who took her, it may carry a record of that night that nothing else can replicate. The blood pattern already documented on the front porch has been analyzed extensively. Large drops consistent with gravitational fall. Smaller satellite droplets. Ring-shaped spots with hollow centers, a signature of blood that moved through the lungs before being expelled outward. The pattern is consistent with Nancy being struck near the front entrance, falling, and coughing blood onto the surface before being lifted and removed from the property. The back door is where entry began. The front porch is where the violence occurred. And somewhere between those 2 points is where the evidence trail becomes critical. The vehicle remains unidentified. Investigators have focused on a gray or silver SUV or pickup truck. A gray Range Rover was towed from a restaurant parking lot approximately 2 miles from the home early in the investigation. Surveillance footage from a nearby gas station showed another vehicle of interest being reviewed. A forensic DNA analyst described whatever vehicle was used as potentially the most significant piece of physical evidence that has not yet been recovered. If Nancy was bleeding when she was removed, her blood is in that vehicle. But beyond that, the suspect's own biological material is almost certainly there as well. Steering wheel. Gear shift. Door handles. Interior surfaces touched during entry and exit. DNA is transferred constantly through touch, through breath, through presence alone. Even a brief trip leaves material behind that laboratory analysis can identify. The Ozark Trail brand has surfaced repeatedly in connection with the suspect's appearance in surveillance footage. The backpack visible in multiple frames is an Ozark Trail product sold exclusively through Walmart. Enhanced analysis of the footwear now suggests the shoes may also be Ozark Trail low hiker boots, with the rubber toe cap, the heel stripe pattern, and the overall profile consistent with what appears in video frames. If both items are confirmed as the same brand from the same retailer, that creates a purchasing profile. Walmart's point-of-sale records can be tied to specific transactions at specific store locations. A forensics professor noted that the FBI's image enhancement capabilities can isolate branding details from surveillance footage to the point where individualization becomes possible, tying specific wear patterns in a shoe sole to a specific person's gait. How someone walks, whether they pronate inward or outward, whether they lead with the heel, those mechanics press into rubber over time and become as distinctive as any other biometric. Satellite imagery is also being explored as a potential source of evidence. Infrared and aerial imaging have contributed to prior prosecutions. The challenge is timing and cloud cover, but the investigative pattern in this case has consistently rewarded aggressive searching. The front door camera footage was initially believed to be gone. The FBI located it on Google's cloud servers. Evidence that appeared unavailable has repeatedly turned out to exist. The question being asked now is whether satellite coverage of the area from that night is being pursued with the same determination. Nancy Guthrie is still missing. The back door of her home was deliberately propped open before she vanished. The workers who entered that home are being interviewed and swabbed. A vehicle has not been found. And somewhere in the physical record of that night, on the object that held a door open, on a surface no one thought to process, in fibers that absorbed what the eye could not see, there may be the connection that puts a name to the person responsible. If you have information, contact the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI or submit a tip at tips.fbi.gov. The reward currently exceeds $1.2 million. An arrest alone qualifies.